Time brought to you by Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey. A busy night for ESPN New York. The Knicks are back in action against the Wizards. Coverage starts at 7 right here on 98.7. And the Rangers out in Vegas taking on the Golden Knights. Coverage begins at 9:30 on 1050. That's Game Time brought to you by Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey, because when it's game time, it's Tully time. Tullamore Dew, the original triple distilled, triple blended, and triple cask matured Irish whiskey. Be sure to grab a Tullamore Dew or try the brand new Tullamore Dew Honey during tonight's action. Glasses up to enjoying Tullamore Dew responsibly. We'll give out a super box for the super box bonanza in this hour at 4 o'clock. Something I'm really looking forward to. We're going to talk to Art Stapleton, who covers the Giants. I've been monitoring everybody who covers the Giants, and he's the one person who is kind of on Dable's side and not Wink Martindale's side. Some people are like right in the middle, but he clearly thinks that Dable is in the right and Wink was in the wrong. So I want to get that take from him, a guy who's seeing it a little bit differently.
Now, the reason I say that the Yankee fans that are going to boo Stroman for his treatment of the Yankees when he wasn't acquired by Brian Cashman is somewhat hypocritical is because, wait a minute, Brian Cashman said that he didn't want Stroman. Stroman reacted and went after Brian Cashman. In 2019, I guess you sided with Cashman. But we're all these Yankee fans who can't stand Cashman. Want him fired. He's out. So now all of a sudden, now you're defending Brian Cashman?
No, I don't think they're defending Cashman because they were going at Stroman because Stroman was going at Cashman and then kind of in a broad stroke criticized the Yankees and made fun of the fact they haven't been in a World Series. Then the Yankee fans started defending the quote-unquote Yankees. Okay, but and then he started blocking
But it all stemmed from him going after the Yankees because they were quote-unquote not interested in him. He wasn't good enough for them. And I'm not defending Stroman. He should have never done that. But now you fast forward 4 years later, and you guys don't seem to collectively like Brian Cashman. All think he should be fired. And so wouldn't you have forgiven Stroman?
But again, he wasn't just ripping Cashman. That started the dialogue, and then he started ripping the Yankees. That stuff's all been scrubbed.
Right, but he started going after the Yankees because of what Brian Cashman said.
Right.
So he was rooting against the Yankees because Brian Cashman, who represented the Yankees, didn't want him. Now, in 2019 was another early exit. Wasn't necessarily because of the pitching, it was because of the hitting. So I would just think the momentum would go by, all right, you know what, he was defending himself. Brian Cashman didn't want him. We don't like Brian Cashman. Stroman wants to become a Yankee now. I would think Yankee fans would side with him and cheer him and be happy that he wants to be a Yankee.
No, they can't side with him. He's blocked them.
No, but the fans booing him or the lukewarm reception at the Garden.
The lukewarm reception at the Garden, I don't get. But he'll be cheered or he'll be booed. I would also be saying the way he performs.
I'm just I understand Don's there more than me, so I take your word for it. But the Garden thing could have been so many different things. Did they announce him as the newest Yankee? Did they say that?
He had a Yankee hat on.
He had a Yankee hat on?
Wearing a Yankee cap.
I'm just saying, it could be a different thing in 2 weeks when it's more known that he's even there. But I mostly like what I heard from Stroman. No one got into any of the deep controversy, it sounds like?
It doesn't seem like
I don't know how that doesn't come up in conversation.
No one said, let's go into what you said about Michael Kay. Is that going to be addressed?
No, I don't think they did.
You had some nasty things to say about the voice of the team. Thoughts?
But just in general, he said that he can handle the pressure of New York. So my follow-up would be, well, when you went after Yankee fans on social media, you're very active on social media. Isn't that contrary to what you said? Does it sound like you are sensitive to criticism, that you find to defend yourself? Like, not go after him, but just kind of follow up, like, as a person that covers New York sports and for somebody that did seem to go after fans, wouldn't that be counterproductive for somebody who claims he can handle the pressure? Or is that the old Stroman who has not tweeted since July? All of his Instagram posts have been very positive, and I guess his last one, he plans on wearing 0. I wonder if the Yankees will allow him to do that.
Well, Ottavino did.
Yeah, so I would think so. So it's been overwhelmingly positive since then. So is this a new Marcus Stroman? I'm more interested in that than the dog and pony show that these press conferences ended up being. All right? I cared about his relationship with Cashman. They addressed that right away. Now, the relationship with the fans and his perceived sensitivity to criticism, I think that's vital.
It's almost sort of, though, a kind of meta topic for this situation.
How so?
It's the media asking him about how you feel about criticism from the media. I'm not saying it shouldn't be asked. It's what I care about, too. But if I'm being objective, right, and he's just a player who came to town, is that really the most important thing to ask a player? Or isn't the answer just going to be in whatever happens? We're going to get the answer no matter what he says.
All of this is a silly dance.
That's what I'm saying.
You can clean up anything.
I mean, Don's right. It's the most interesting thing for sure.
$18.5 million a year for a guy with a lifetime 3.65 ERA. Not bad. It's not a bad gamble by the Yankees, and if he's anywhere close to what he was with the Mets, and the first half with the Cubs, it's a bargain in this day and age.
So would you want to ask him, based on how you play, do you feel you're underpaid? Because you said the other day he could be a $23 million pitcher.
Well, he was. There's a projection place that says what they think each free agent's going to get, and he was projected to get $66 million for 3 years.
So $22 million a year. He's getting 18.5.
Right. Well, he signed it, so he can't say he's underpaid.
So is it fair? Is it the injuries at the end of last year that cost him money? Is it the social media posts and the relationship with the fans that cost him money? Because clearly he should be paid more based on his stats than what he got paid by the Yankees.
Well, you know what? He's coming off the second half that was bad. And you probably sign off on that and say it was bad because he was injured. Because when he was healthy at the beginning of the year, people were talking about him as a Cy Young Award winner.
But I'm sure
that's how good he was.
Those analytic projections that you said we were going to give him $66 million over 3 years. Factored in, I guess, the injuries at the end of last year.
Well, if you look at Zip's projections, which we brought up yesterday, they have him projected to be a 500 pitcher in the next 2 years. 8-8, 9-9, with an over 4 ERA. I think that's why. But my thought is, okay, if those are the projections out of the computer, then why was anybody willing to give him 66 for 3?
By the way, I got to tell you, though, can I just stop everyone for a second? We're very casual now about the way we mention analytics and projections. I understand how they make theirs projections, and I'm sure very often they're correct. But, God, that seems like an extreme use of analytics. Telling me you don't know, it's based on what they've seen from him and his age and what other people do.
It's really heavy duty, though. Like, they look at his stuff. Has that deteriorated? What's the fastball like? Is he walking more guys than he used to? Has the strikeout rate gone? I mean, they put all of it. It's much too high level for me to, absorb.
But typical analytics, we never hear, how often it's right. I'm sure they've done these projections in the past. Has it worked out?
And what would the analytics have told you about what Geno Smith was going to do year 1 in Seattle?
I'm sure.
There's no world in which they were like, he's going to throw 35 touchdowns and be an MVP candidate. That just wasn't going to happen. As we say over and over again, analytics just cannot do heart. It's not there. So maybe for some reason, there's a 1 + 1 = 3 relationship with the Yankees. Maybe this really is the place Stroman was going to be. And maybe the crowd will love him here. You could picture a world in which if he plays well, his attitude and approach, it's the perfect fit.
Absolutely. And he is, I think Medford, Long Island, he grew up an hour from Yankee Stadium, so he is one of our own.
It doesn't take an hour to get there, but as the crow flies,
right. I guess. He's demonstrative on the mound. He's not shy. And if he performs, look at Nestor Cortez. He performed and people loved him.
And I'm going to throw something else out positive about Stroman. Everyone tell him that we're saying positive things here on the show. You could also see him being the spark that they need in the dugout. We've talked a lot about, how many times, Michael, has this team been going through a hard spot and everyone is so frustrated at the laissez-faire style of this dugout?
Very businesslike.
He could be the new sort of pump your fist, stand up.
Yeah, they thought Josh Donaldson was going to be that too. You got to perform.
But he didn't perform.
You got to perform.
Well, you always have to perform, but I think a little personality can go a long way here. Could be some fun.
No, he's got a big personality. The one relationship that I will keep an eye on with Marcus, it's not me and Marcus. I'm broadcasting a game. I didn't talk to Mike Messina the last 6 years he was a Yankee. Not one word. Not even a hello in an elevator. I did my job. That's not a relationship you have to watch. I would never go off the beaten path. I'm doing a game. How's he pitching? That's all there is to it. Radio show's a different deal.
Yeah.
But the relationship between Marcus and Joel Sherman, because Joel Sherman wrote a column today, because Marcus puts himself out there to be the underdog, the guy nobody believed in. He says, really? He goes, you were a first-round draft pick out of Duke. How could you say you weren't believed? Joel is not shy about giving opinions, and it looks like he's not on the Marcus Stroman train yet. And I don't think he was when Marcus was with the Mets. And I would say that Joel is the loudest most influential, definitely baseball columnist in the city.
Yes.
Might be overall.
Yeah, in the country. Yeah, he could be.
So it'll be interesting to see how that relationship.
Yeah, like is Marcus willing to start over and say, hey, let's just see if we can make it work, even though I know this guy's critical? He doesn't seem like that would be his style. I think that would be the much better play, is kind of come out. I'm not saying be hat in hand, but go into this with an open mind.
Right.
But having a relationship with the writers is different than the play-by-play guy. I mean, you're more of a part of the team. You
don't need me.
You're not going to have a great relationship with every writer.
But there are certain writers you need to have a relationship with. Joel's one of them.
I don't know, Michael. Where do people get their information? I mean, no offense to Joel Sherman.
But Joel's on several things. I mean, Joel's on a podcast on MLB Network. He can shape opinions. Not just a post.
But nobody can
does. I would say Joel does. Listen, you know me. I'm not Mr. Baseball columnist. Joel Sherman is the name who you see at the beginning of a lot of major narratives that happen about players.
I get that, and I know it. But I think a lot of baseball fans, they get their information from a bunch of other places. And I bet you more people know Michael Kay than Joel Sherman.
But again, on the Yankee game, I'm not going to be opining.
No,
I'm just going to say, well, he gave 6 innings, 3 hits.
But if Joel, but here's the thing: is that it's all based on how he pitches. Because if Joel just decides to go after him for every little nitpicky thing, and he's going out there and he's winning games and playing well, Joel won't stand a chance. The fans will all support Marcus. The media is bad. And they're not going to need Joel to rip him if he pitches poorly. Fans are educated enough to know he's not pitching well. I'm going to boo him. I think the days of the media molding the narrative are over. Fans are smart enough to see for themselves. Back in the day, I missed the game. I would need to know what happened. I'd pick up the Daily News and the Post and read about it. Now we're watching highlights. We're on Yankee blogs. We're listening to Yankee post-game shows. We're rewatching the game ourselves on DVR. We don't need any media member, talk show host, or writer to influence and mold the mind of fans. They can do it themselves, and the players can do it. I'm sorry, Michael, you're thinking like it's 1974.
But all I know is if you follow the Yankee universe on social media, what Peter said is true. A lot of the narrative driven by something that Joel writes or something that Joel says on MLB. I'm not saying that he has the same. I'd say a Yankee beat writer. Because do people pick up the paper anymore to read what happened in the game? No. Of course not. But opinion makers, I think that still has some sway.
The fans are their own opinion makers.
Where do they get that from? They pull it out of the air?
No, because there was a time. You've been doing the show, Michael. When we first started doing the show, there was a feeling that we were like maybe educating the listeners. They got their opinions from us. But now with the oversaturation of sports and information, the listener already knows maybe more than we do.
Where are they getting it?
They're getting it from a million different places. And you think it's any different than politics? They're going to get it from where they want to get it. And most of it is, I can watch and see with my own eyes. If he's pitching terribly, I'll boo him. If he's pitching great, I'll love him. I don't need an article from anybody or a monologue from Don LaGreca to mold my opinion on an athlete. I can do it myself. I can watch. Every game's televised. I got people like John Boy that are giving me replays and they're.
You don't think that the people at John Boy are reading Joel Sherman in the Post?
No, I think John Boy has 100 times more influence than Joel Sherman.
No, I think you're wrong.
I think
you're too old school, Michael.
No, but Don, here's where I disagree with you. If you were talking about basketball or football, I'd agree with you. Baseball is still a game that's the average fan. The average Yankee fan doesn't even look at John Boy. That's only young fans. This sport has a base that's also old.
We're just talking about most of these fans' opinions were aggravated by the fact that he blocked them on social media. That's not some 60-year-old upset about it.
Yeah, but at the same time...
That's a 25-year-old upset because they feel like they can have the actual interaction with the athlete. That's what I'm saying.
But people
this
then
is
wrote
all
about...
entertainment. We're not molding and shaping minds anymore. People have the ability to do that themselves.
A lot of people listen to talk radio. There's 2 sports stations. They get a lot of people listening. They must be listening for something.
Yeah, but they're listening to get entertained and hear opinion, but they come at us. The callers come out with their opinions already in the holster. They're ready to fire. Now, it used to not be like that. We used to be able to influence people years ago, but now they've already got their opinion, and then they argue with us. That's where the entertainment comes from. We're not educating people anymore. We're not molding minds anymore. It's Don LaGreca's opinion versus Peter's opinion versus Joe Slobotnik's opinion. That's what sports radio is.
What on the other side, though? I'm just trying to understand still what the essence of this argument is. That how Sherman goes after Stroman, you're saying won't make a difference if he does or does not? I think Stroman will disagree.
No, I'm sure he'll go after something that's negatively written about him, but the fans aren't going to be influenced by Joel Sherman's opinion. They're going to be influenced by their own opinion by watching how he pitches.
So newspapers have no value. And what he does on MLB Network has no value. People are not intaking that and putting that as part of their opinion.
But from an entertainment standpoint, but they're not getting their opinions from what Joel Sherman thinks.
Dude,
so you're telling me they watch the Yankees every day. They see he's performing poorly. I don't really have an opinion on that. They read Joel Sherman or they read John Heyman or they read whoever, and then they come up with their opinion.
We just went through an experience with the quarterbacks in this town where we saw the angle that people had get reshaped by what Dan Orlovsky would say on NFL Live. Oh, it's all Zach Wilson. Well, Dan Orlovsky was on there saying it's Nathaniel Hackett. Then we hear the callers call us and say, Nathaniel Hackett. Don, we got to take a break, but I do think it's a mix of both.
It's certainly not zero. Now, maybe it's not the days of Dick Young, but I think you're putting it closer to zero than Dick Young. So let's say it's 60% of what it once was. I think it still sways a little bit. We'll talk more about it. There's something that the former Yankee, Dave LaPointe, pitched for the Yankees for 3 years, said something that will always resonate with me. I'll tell you that in a moment. Listeners, it's Michael Kay. When it comes to travel... All right, so let me tell you what Dave LaPointe said. Dave LaPointe, also from the area, and he signed a 3-year contract with the Yankees. And this was during the Yankees' bad years with Stump Merrill and the whole deal. And I became pretty good friends with him. And he said he always treated writers well. He said, because it's not that difficult to smile and say, how you doing? He said, and he explained why. Not because he was a phony. He said, most players are about right in the middle. He said, so if you treat somebody well, if you're right in the middle, they're going to tend to say, you've done okay. If you treat them like garbage and you're right in the middle of performance-wise, they're going to say that you perform badly or leaning toward that you perform badly. He said it's an easy equation. Think about that. Now, let's look at Garrett Cole, Peter.
Okay.
The way Garrett Cole pitched last year, he could have mooned every single media member, and there's nothing they could write bad about him. When you're at the top of the mountain, you don't have to deal with anybody. When you're at the bottom of the mountain, even if the people like you, you're going to get crushed. But most people are in the middle in everything in life. So it's the way you treat people. That's all there is to it. So I think that's the way you go about it. I don't know how Marcus Stroman is going to be with the media, but that would be a good way to start. Hello, how you doing, blah, 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 and then see how it goes from there. But it all comes down to how he performs.
It's such a great point, though, too, and makes perfect sense. It really affects the guys who are in the middle the most.
Right. Because most people are in the middle.
Right. That's most.
Not everybody's Aaron Judge.
No, most of the team is average and below.
Let's go to Joe in Park Slope. Joe.
Hey, guys. Big fan. Long time, first time.
Thanks.
I was at the Chambliss game. I was at the Reggie 3 home run game. I'm a 52-year-old Yankee fan. I got to tell you, I am not happy. Okay, here's what I want as a Yankee fan. Here's what I really want. I want Glaber off the team. I want DJ at second. I want them to sign Chapman. I want them to hustle the 2 guys from Milwaukee.
Why Chapman? You mean Araldis?
No, the third baseman.
Oh, okay.
Matt Chapman.
Okay.
I want him to play third.
Oh, you lost me for a second. I thought you meant Araldis.
Yeah. No. And I want Snell. And then I'll be happy. I mean, this is bogus.
So you'll be happy, Joe, when they have a $400 million payroll.
I'm okay with that.
But Joe, that's not the way that's not the way the business works, dude. It's just not the way the business works. There is a limit. There's a limit for Steve Cohen. We've seen it. So you're going to get Chapman. He's going to command $25 million a year. You're going to get Snell. They've already offered him $30 million. He said no. So let's say they got him both. 25, 30. That's $55 million. They're $305 million right now. I mean, how much do you expect them to pay? I mean, this is an owner at one point said, I don't think you need a $200 million payroll to win a World Series. Well, he's changed. He's got a $300 million payroll. You're not happy with Stroman. If Stroman pitches the way he did in the first half of the year, you'll be elated. You'll be elated. Adam in Bay Ridge.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing well, thanks. First off, Mike, I just want to say don't sweat the asinine Stroman comment from back in the day. The fan base knows the truth, and I'm sorry to hear about your recent accident. But I'm happy that it looks like you came out relatively unscathed.
Thank you. The car's destroyed, though, but thank you, Adam.
Well, the most important thing is you're still with us.
You're right.
So, regarding Stroman, there are two major reasons why I like this acquisition. He's a great fit for Yankee Stadium and for this Yankees team. Say what you want about velocity or any other trends, but his ground ball rate was over 57% last year, which is actually a tick higher than his career average. That'll play in Yankee Stadium, which was the third most homer-prone stadium in the league last year. Mm-hmm. And not to mention, guys, if they play Peraza over Glaber on the days that Stroman starts, an infield defense comprising LeMahieu, Volpe, Peraza, and Rizzo, as well as Stroman himself, who is a Gold Glover, all have Gold Gloves with the exception of Peraza, who may very well have a Gold Glove himself in the future. And Rizzo's even won a Platinum Glove, might I add. So he has the potential to outpitch his peripherals. Most importantly, at around $18 million a year, it saves the Yankees around $12 million, at least relative to what they offered Yamamoto and Snell, and that can go towards re-signing Soto next offseason. Just take a second to consider this, guys. Stroman is going to be making $750K a year less than what the Red Sox just gave Lucas Giolito, who's coming off a season with an ERA a smidge under 5 and gave up 41 home runs. I'll wrap up by saying this to the fans that aren't enamored with the deal for the off-the-field reasons, which in this case, I agree with Don that this is really being overblown based on his take the other day. I'd respond to that by saying that the Yankees have acquired players with somewhat checkered histories before, so this is nothing new. And at the end of the day, let's all be honest here. The Yankees teams of the past few years have felt kind of dry and kind of lacked an edge, but hopefully additions like him, as well as Soto and to a certain extent Verdugo, will add to the competitive intensity on the field in between the lines. And I think we can all objectively agree he gets us closer to the championship we all want and crave as fans, and at a reasonable price that won't necessarily prohibit other moves. So sign me up.
Adam, well said, but I will tell you this. They brought in people of, questionable character before. They haven't worked out. A lot of them haven't worked out. Sometimes, I'm not saying this is the case with Marcus Stroman, when somebody shows you who they are, Peter, it's a good idea to believe them.
And in the case of the Yankees recently, it's not even a matter of people with whatever issues. A lot of things they've been interested in just haven't worked out recently.
Right.
So,
but I mean, when you take chances, like they're taking a chance on Verdugo. They're taking a chance. A guy who's supposedly in Boston didn't show up when the team wanted him to, got benched by Alex Cora, felt he wasn't hustling. They're taking a chance on Stroman. They're taking a chance. So, again, I know that they believe in Boone, and they should, because Boone's strength to me is how he deals with human beings. And I think people play hard for him, and they respect him. You're hoping for that. It didn't work out with Donaldson. But, again, it wasn't so much the guy that he was. He didn't perform.
He just couldn't perform anymore.
If you perform, it's a great deodorant. No matter what kind of guy you are, if you perform, they'll embrace you. The team will embrace you. The organization will embrace you. And you know what? So will the fans. It's the ESPN New York Superbox Bonanza 5. This year, each qualifier will take home a $25 Fanatics gift card and have a chance at one of 10 Superbox prizes. Be caller number 50 right now at 888-987-ESPN to select the box for the big game with a chance to win $500 in the first and third quarters, $1,000 at halftime, and a final score payout of $2,000, all brought to you by Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey and the brand new Tullamore Dew Honey. All right, when we get back, I've been looking forward to this for the last couple of days. Art Stapleton covers the Giants for The Record in New Jersey, and he's had a different take on the Dable situation than a lot of the other guys that cover the team. So we'll hear from Art in just a moment. New year, new ride. Shout 300.